Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Anjum Rahman tuku ingoa. Kua tai mai aho ki te tautoko, te kaupapa o tēnei rā. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the mana whenua, their history, their struggles and their aspirations. I'd like to share the following whakatauki, which a friend offered to me. Naku te roro, no te roro, ka ora ai te iwi. With your basket and my basket, the people will live. And this whakatauki is important in this particular time, especially when we all need to be thinking about the collective to ensure that a virus doesn't spread, that we need to join and we need to share. I want to acknowledge the victims of 15th of March, those who passed, the injured, those who were present, and all of their families and friends. That event was an expression of hate. What caused that person to be so full of hate? It's a journey. It doesn't just happen overnight. People don't just decide all of a sudden to pick up a gun and go and shoot people in that fashion. So how does the journey start? As any police officer will tell you, and most wise people will tell you, that major criminal activity starts with petty theft. It starts with shoplifting. Those small things that if we don't get to them at the beginning, create, spiral and get worse. And so with hate, it starts with small acts of dehumanization. When we can start to see other people as a little bit less human. And as always, when you're not the first speaker, the person before you takes part of your speech. But let me expand on what Professor Pratt has said. We start to define people by their faults. Now think of it as an individual. Imagine if a person took the worst things that you did, the times when you were petty, the times when you were mean, the times when you were tired and you lashed out and said something cruel. Imagine if someone collected all of those things and presented them to the world as if that was the whole of you. And there's not a person sitting in here who's not susceptible to that. We have all done things that we aren't proud of, that we know we could have done better, and if someone took those things and presented them as if that was all that you were, because that's what happens to a community. You start with demonizing a group and that group's characteristics, and then you start to place the blame of everything that you see that is wrong in the society that you live in on those people. They're taking your jobs. They're buying your houses. The economic downturn, it's them. The housing crisis, it's them. Anything you can think of, it's them. At the same time, as Professor Pratt did point out, we see in ourselves everything that is good. We hold everything that is virtuous. We ignore our own faults. And because we are the holders of virtue and good, we must protect it. We have to protect what we have from these people who are taking everything away from us, which then leads to fear, it leads to anger, and that is only a step away from violence. There is no doubt that hate is a political tool. Hate gains attention. I like to call it the Trump effect. And it's not just him, it's used in New Zealand, it's used across the world. Say the most outrageous, most hateful thing that you can think of, and it is splashed across the world news. It's somehow, man says something stupid, is still a news story. I don't know why. but it always is, all the time. And the media will pick it up, and social media will pick it up. Wasn't that a terrible thing? He says, oh my God, he's so racist. We pick it up in a negative way. We call it out for what it is. But what happens is that this person gets their message to the people that will respond to it. The amount of free publicity that people who use this technique get is in the tunes of billions of dollars, simply because everybody responds, everybody speaks to it. Did you hear what he said today? And it is promoted everywhere. What we have now, of course, is that it's much easier to spread through social media. So the viral effect is much, much greater. And we have seen across the world that different social media have been used in different ways in different countries. So, for example, the far right very successfully used YouTube algorithms to win elections in Brazil. Trump has violated every rule of Twitter, every code of conduct that they have, and yet remains online. Facebook was used, and the best example we've seen was the Brexit campaign, how data was misused and how advertising was breaking all their electoral laws. In India, we've seen the RSS and the BJP use WhatsApp as a way to promote their messages. And of course, various groups have used the comment sections of media websites to the extent that most media websites have had to remove comment sections. Make no mistake, all of these campaigns are very, very well organised, and they are very well resourced. If you look at the Bjp Campaign, like if you think we have rich people here, nah. We don't have rich people. India has like really, really, really rich people, and they put a lot of money into those campaigns. But we know that other governments are doing it. We know Russia's involved. I could name you several other governments. That this is organised and well-funded activity. And they are using techniques like bots, which if you don't know what that is automated accounts. They are using paid trolls, so people are being paid to be online, to spread hate and disrupt conversations and to change minds, and it works. They wouldn't do it if it didn't work. It has worked in every age. It has worked in every country, that if you give people something to hate and something that is a threat, and you place yourself as the protector against that threat. I don't know what it is about the human condition, but we believe it every time. So the question is, how do we change this? I already gave you some practical examples. We know at government level there are things happening like the Christchurch Call, which is bringing together tech companies and governments and civil society organisations in effect, hoping to effect change. Whether that will be actually successful yet remains to be seen. They have been successful in one regard, in that there have been several killers who have tried to live stream their mass killings, and those have not gone viral. So the hash sharing database and those sorts of things are having some effect. And certainly the event in Christchurch and the work of our government has placed a lot of pressure on tech companies, but it is nowhere near enough. I want to take the last few minutes, I don't know where I am on time, but I'll try and hurry, to talk about what I'm doing in this space. So last year, and it started well before last year, we knew that we needed in this country a national strategy on diversity and inclusion. We knew that the government needed to do it. We knew that there were great programs and lots of wonderful work happening in the community, but nobody was taking a step back, taking a strategic look what was needed, how we could do it in a more planned and coordinated way so that it could have greater impact. The government was not interested in any such thing, and after the 15th of March attacks, they appeared to remain uninterested. But I was lucky enough to connect with some various people who offered to me the chance to develop a national strategy outside of government. And so that is the work that I'm doing now. And as part of that work, we are touring around the country. We're planning to go to 60 towns and cities, and we've already done the first leg of the west coast of the South Island and some of central Otago, basically sitting with groups of people and asking them three very simple questions. When do you feel like you belong in Aotearoa, New Zealand? What is stopping you from feeling like you belong? And what needs to change in order for you to belong? They are very deceptively simple questions. They were designed to be accessible to all sorts of people who may have English as a second language, literacy issues, and so on. It is available, survey is available on our website, which is inclusiveaotearoa.nz, and I have some cards happy to share afterwards. Next year we plan to implement the strategy, but I know that I'm out of time, so haha, suspense.